The waitress's hand trembled as she slid the folded napkin under the crystal glass. 3 words, written fast and crooked, stared back at her like a scream trapped on paper: "Don't drink it." The CEO lifted the glass anyway, smiling at the room full of applause, until his eyes caught the note. His smile froze. He looked up at her, really looked at her, and before anyone could react, he grabbed her hand and said quietly, "Come with me. Now. If this story pulls you in, if your heart starts racing like mine did when I first imagined this moment, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this, about courage, choices, and second chances, only reach more people because of you." The ballroom of the Meridian Hotel glittered with money and ambition. Chandeliers cast warm light over suits worth more than cars, dresses stitched with confidence, and laughter that sounded practiced. Nathaniel Cross, CEO of Cross Tech Industries, stood at the center of it all. He was the kind of man magazines called untouchable, a self-made billionaire who turned problems into profits and enemies into footnotes. Tonight was a celebration, his company's biggest merger yet. Toasts were lined up, deals whispered into ears, futures sealed with handshakes. Lena worked the floor with a tray balanced on one palm and a storm in her chest. She was used to being invisible. Waitresses were supposed to glide, smile, and disappear. But tonight, something felt wrong. She'd noticed it earlier in the service corridor, a junior bartender arguing in hushed panic with a man in a gray suit she'd never seen before. She'd heard the words, "Wrong bottle," and, "Not now," before the door slammed shut. When Lena went back to the bar to fetch a refill, she saw the bottle being poured. It wasn't the one labeled for the toast. The smell was sharp, chemical, not like any champagne she'd ever served. Her mind raced. She could be wrong. Accusing someone here, someone powerful, could cost her the job she desperately needed. Rent was due. Her mother's hospital bills were stacked on the kitchen table at home. Fear wrapped around her throat. But then she remembered her father, gone too soon, who used to tell her that courage isn't loud. It's a quiet decision you make when no one's watching. So she wrote the note. Nathaniel didn't make a scene. He didn't shout. He simply set the glass down, covered the note with his palm, and stood. Cameras flashed, thinking this was another triumphant moment. Instead, he leaned toward Lena, his voice calm but urgent, and said, "You just changed the course of my night. Maybe my life." Security moved in seconds, clearing a path. Nathaniel's hand never left Lena's wrist, not rough, not possessive, steady. As they slipped into a side hallway, the noise of the gala faded into a distant hum. Lena's knees felt weak. She expected to be fired, arrested, anything. Instead, Nathaniel stopped, looked at her, and asked, "Why?" She told him everything. The argument, the bottle, the smell, her fear. She expected disbelief, maybe anger. What she saw instead was something softer, relief edged with shock. Nathaniel exhaled slowly and nodded. "You trusted your instinct," he said. "That's rarer than you think." The night unraveled quickly after that. The bartender was pulled aside. The gray-suited man vanished before security could stop him. Police arrived, quiet but firm. The gala ended early, guests murmuring about technical issues. By morning, news would call it a security scare. The truth would stay buried under legal language and non-disclosure agreements. Lena thought that was the end of it. She went home on the last bus, replaying the moment over and over, wondering if she'd imagined the whole thing. But the next day, her phone rang. Nathaniel asked her to meet him. She almost didn't go. What could a billionaire want from a waitress? But curiosity and a strange sense of unfinished business pulled her into his office, a glass-walled space overlooking the city. He listened as she spoke about her life, working 2 jobs, dropping out of college to care for her sick mother, learning to read people because it was safer than trusting circumstances. "I built my company on data," Nathaniel said when she finished. "But data didn't save me last night." "You did." He offered her a job, not as charity, he insisted, but as an opportunity. A position in internal operations, starting with training. Lena laughed at first, thinking it was a test. She didn't have the credentials. He shrugged. Credentials can be taught. Integrity can't. The transition wasn't easy. She faced whispers, side eyes, assumptions that she was a favor case. She worked harder than anyone else, stayed later, asked questions until her throat went dry. Nathaniel didn't protect her from criticism, but he did something better, he trusted her with responsibility. Over time, people noticed her attention to detail, her instinct for patterns others missed. Months later, an internal audit she helped design uncovered a procurement scheme that had been bleeding the company for years. Millions recovered. Jobs saved. Lena stood in the same boardroom where she'd once poured drinks, presenting findings with a steady voice. When applause broke out, it wasn't polite, it was earned.